Alright guys, we're here with the 2021 Hyundai i30 sedan in the N Line edition. So starting from the front, the N Line has a more aggressive front grille. It is lower to the ground, so it has a real sleek appearance. One of the cool things I like is the daytime running lights, as they add to the aggressiveness. And then they have the indicators hidden down here, so you don't actually get them on the headlight unit, which gives it once again a much cleaner appearance. From that side of things, obviously an N Line badge is pretty prominent both on the front, the side, and throughout the interior. And that's once again in part to making sure that people know that it's an N Line and it's that little bit more aggressive styling from Hyundai. Talking about other things, you've got this nice lip down the bottom, which is a little bit lower, but we haven't found that it's a little bit cumbersome around the parking bolsters or driveways, especially around Brisbane where you get quite a big dip. It's actually cleared them pretty well, and we've not scraped it once while having this car, which is really, really good compared to other vehicles on the market. Alright, so one of the cool things with the key is obviously it does have your standard lock and unlock. However, it also has remote start and your boot entry as well. So with the remote start, all you need to do is press the lock, press and hold down on the smart start button, and it will start the engine so that you can start cooling in summer months or the heating in winter months, so that you're not getting into a cold or a hot car depending on the month that you're in. One of the cool things of the i30 sedan is it also comes with keyless entry and keyless lock, but it actually allows you to do it on the passenger side, which a lot of other cars in that segment only have the driver's side activated. So it's one of those things they've thought about both sides and obviously the passengers, as well as convenience, which is really good. They haven't skimped on functionality. So talking about the engine, obviously the most important part is how does it drive, how much power does it have? Well, it's a 1.6 litre turbo petrol engine. It has an output of 150 kilowatts of power and then 265 newton meters of torque. And from a transmission point, it's paired with a 7-speed DCT automatic gearbox. What this means is it has enough power to be a bit punchy around corners as well as up and down the mountain roads that we've been testing it on here in Brisbane. However, it probably could have benefited from going to the 2-litre engine and having a little bit more get up and go and punch compared to some of its competitors. However, definitely still great value for money and great performance, so I wouldn't fault it on performance at all. Now around to the back, in terms of design, the N Line gets this nice sharp spoiler in black, as well as with the i30 sedan, you get this really cool styling with the tail lights, including this light bar that goes the whole way around, so you get this continuous rear brake lights as well as just rear tail lights when you're driving at night. In the rear, you also get the parking sonar on all 4 sides, as well as it's really cool and easy, this little touch button that's kind of hidden to open and close the boot, and the rear camera at the top. Alright, so now that we've seen the outside, let's have a look on the inside. So starting at the doors, you get this beautiful soft touch leather or leatherette type feel. The audio system, you get the tweeter at the top, all your functional controls down the bottom. The only criticism is it also does have this pretty harsh plastic on the top. That's one thing we probably would have liked to see a more softer touch material used, which would actually get it in line with the rest of the car, because the rest of the car is actually pretty premium on the inside. So it was a little bit disappointing to see that from Hyundai. Alright, so starting with the steering wheel, it has this really nice sporty steering wheel. It is leather wrapped on the outside, plus this nice red stitching which goes with the overall theme. Red instrument cluster highlights, red highlight around the drive mode, red highlights in the stitching on the doors. So it makes it look really nice, as well as then red stitching highlights on the seats as well. So really in line with the overall sporty kind of feel. Everything on the steering wheel makes sense on where it is, and that's one thing that I like to commend Hyundai for, whereas a lot of other manufacturers have gone for split functionality on both sides, and it kind of just gets a little bit confusing when you're driving. This is really simple. You don't have to look at the steering wheel to actually get that. So you have your audio controls on the left hand side, as well as your track settings there, your Bluetooth controls here to answer and hang up, and your voice command button is here. However, it is good to note that while you don't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto plugged in, this actually won't function at all. It is probably one of the criticisms I have of the car because it does have Bluetooth. So in my opinion, it should function regardless of whether you have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto plugged in. But it's a small little minor feature. On the steering wheel, we also have this N logo as well and symbol, which kind of goes with the whole theme of being an N line. And on the right hand side, you have your cruise control modes. It is active cruise control, which will follow the car in front of you, so if it slows down or speeds up, it will follow it and match that. You have your multi-information display on the right hand side, which does your speed readout, as well as a number of other kind of informative displays, including fuel consumption. You have on the top here the drive mode, which will display on here and will change between your normal, eco, sport and smart modes. And what that allows you to do is it actually allows you to tailor your drive based on how you're driving. So for day-to-day driving, I would keep it in the smart normal mode. And what that allows the car to do is adjust based on your inputs. So if you have a little bit more enthusiastic acceleration, it will match that. But then as you're cruising along, it will go to more the economical setting to save you a bit of fuel. During spirited driving on nice windy roads, I'll obviously chuck it into the sport. And it kind of tightens up a few different things and it makes it really responsive. Big clear speed display here, which is analog, and your tacho on the left hand side there as well. With the N Line model, you also get the paddle shifts on the left and right hand side. However, I did find that it wasn't as responsive in the gear changes as just having it in drive due to the DCT and how that functions. However, if you want to play around with it, it is kind of cool and makes it a little bit different, as this model is only available in an automatic. Now, in terms of the infotainment unit, it is a nice big touchscreen. It is pretty responsive and sharp. You do get Apple CarPlay as standard, and like I said, it is pretty responsive. Dual zone climate controls all here, and they're touch responsive, but they are buttons, which is actually quite nice instead of just the touch sensitive haptic buttons, which aren't really all that nice. You have this nice leather lined and leather boot on the actual transmission, electronic park brake, as well as the auto hold button, and then you have your camera button to show you the rear vision camera as well. Wireless charging is standard and is on the right hand side, so you just place your phone there, you don't have to turn it on and it will start charging, as well as a fast charging USB port for your passenger and a standard USB port for the actual audio as well. Apple CarPlay as well is worth mentioning that it is wireless, which is really handy because then you can chuck your phone wherever you need to, and especially now that the fines are getting more and more hefty if you start using your phone while driving. With the dash, it is really nice. It's actually a little bit of a soft touch padded dash. You get these beautiful lines here for the dash display, which makes it look a little bit more sporty and premium, as well as these air conditioning vents, which are really handy and really in a good position. Whereas a lot of other cars are now going to these weird kind of air conditioning controls that are very hard to position where you want, particularly if you're like me, who likes to have a little bit more air going to your face on longer drives. This is definitely a great feature. The one thing that is a little bit peculiar, I guess, with this particular model is this grab handle that's here. All the i30 sedans have it, and I got to be honest, I don't particularly like it. It's kind of a little bit weird and almost like segregating your passenger from yourself, but also it's really harsh plastic as well, so it's not even really nice soft touch. And with the steering wheel, guys, the great thing is that this is also reach and height adjustable. A lot of cars in this current market still only have a tilt adjustment, which is really frustrating because obviously a lot of people have longer or shorter arms, and depending on your driving position, you may kind of be leaning forward to actually grab the steering wheel. From a storage perspective, it also has this nice center console, which does have quite a bit of depth to it. You can store your phone, wallet, whatever else you need to in here without it kind of filling up too quickly. And then in terms of the seating, it is this beautiful, nice leather finish. They are soft, but the bolstering is really nice as well. Now, myself being on the larger side, the seating I still find is really, really comfortable, and I don't find the cabin too narrow either. So well done to Hyundai in catering for a number of body sizes with the seats, and still allowing it to be comfortable, particularly on longer drives. Now into the rear, guys, let me show you what the space is like, as well as what the features are in the rear of the car. Now in terms of the rear, guys, as you can see, the front seat is in the position that I was in. I tend to drive with the seat back a little bit further back than normal, but you can see that it's still pretty generous legroom. In terms of headroom, it is a little bit on the tighter side. I'm 5'10", and obviously, as you can see, my hair is brushing the top. So if you're a little bit taller than that, it may not be as comfortable if you're in the rear, but for most people, it's actually going to be pretty comfortable with plenty of legroom in the rear compared to other sedans in this segment. Aircon vents in the rear for your rear passengers make it super comfortable. A little net here to store whatever you need to store. And for rear passenger comfort, if there's only 4 people in the car, you also have this nice armrest and center cup holder, so that you can have your 2 cup holders as well as the bottle holders in the doors. And you still have a little bit of space, and as you can see, it's quite comfortable in the position that it's placed in. And for any families that require car seats in the rear, you will be glad to know that it has the ISOFIX points on both sides, as well as 3 baby anchor points on the back seats. Room is a little bit tight in the rear if you wanted to have 3 car seats. However, 2 car seats on the outer sides would be very easy to fit in here, but it then would be a very tight fit for any passenger that needs to sit in the middle. And finally, guys, to the all-important safety features, this car is really well packed with safety in mind. So it does have lane departure alert, lane keep assist, forward collision warning, as well as autonomous emergency braking, rear parking sonar, as well as a rear camera. And in the top models, it will also have the rear cross traffic alert, not in this model that we're reviewing today, as well as the blind spot monitors as well, which is really, really good. That safety is standard from all the i30 sedans from the bottom to the top, which is really impressive from Hyundai. A lot of other manufacturers cut and paste between the models, so the higher you get, the more safety you get. It's really good to see Hyundai taking a good approach from the ground up. We would highly recommend it if you are looking for a little bit of a sporty sedan and you don't need something too big, or if you need something with a bit of legroom and a little bit different, definitely great there. And finally, we would definitely recommend this car if you're looking in this segment. The only criticism we really had was with the power. It would have been nice to have a little bit more, and certainly that center grab handle was just in a really awkward space and I didn't really like it. As well as some gloss black around all the dash and instrumentation. That's more of a personal preference. I just don't like it because it gets dusty really, really quick and shows any fingerprints really, really easily. But overall, guys, fantastic car and highly recommend you go for a drive.